I told him like shit's gonna change or I'm getting a divorce.
Sis, what's wrong? I don't know. So in 2019 we were obviously 19 years old because we're 2000 babies. It doesn't matter. Don't make me laugh again.
Like, grow up and fucking work, bitch.
It's really hard to like work with your bestie. Like that's like the worst. 2019, right after high school. Just drink some water because my eye's twitching and that's an issue. I can't twitch.
Wait, you can't make me laugh anymore. Just
what? I just said
okay.
Work mode.
Hey guys, what's up?
Hey girl, hey.
Welcome back to another episode, you guys. We are super excited for this week. We're gonna be getting real personal, girl. We're gonna be talking about our relationships, my marriage, and she's been with Aunt for a really freaking long time. So we're gonna be getting into the juiciness on how we got here and how we pretty much overcame the toxic stage and the craziness and
getting
all that.
Real personal, juicy, and being real and raw because we've been through some stuff.
I know, and it's pretty exciting to talk about now because I feel like now that we overcame everything, we're not embarrassed to like say that we were toxic, to say that we went through like really hard times in our relationship. So yeah, girl, we're gonna shut up and get right into it. But before we do want to show y'all a little snacky snack.
My sister hooked it up. We're like look like really hot Cheeto East Side girls right now, but we have some nachos with cheese, some jalapenos, pickle, hot Cheetos, and my sister's super bougie, and she gave us ice water in her little cups.
Hold on, let's look at them. No. Should we do it with the plate or no?
Does it look ghetto?
It looks good. We're like in sync. That was scary.
Okay, hold on.
We actually filmed the same exact video like a week ago, a few days ago, and I was so mad, you guys, because I did it in my car, and if you guys know from the vlogs,
like ratata,
the ratatata, and the freaking fan is just so loud. I was editing and I was pissed, you guys, because the whole entire time you hear like the fan more than us, and I was like, you know what, I'm so sorry to waste your time, sis, but we're gonna have to redo it. But yeah, long story short, you guys, this is our second time filming, so thanks for coming, sis.
But y'all are still gonna get the good juicy stories that we were saying in the first one. The first one was kind of like, it was really good, so like it sucked, but we're here again. And honestly, we look a little prettier than than the last one, because I feel like, well, at least me, that day my makeup and everything was just a little bit, this is some fresh stuff. Cheers.
So just to give you guys a little backstory, we are going to be talking about how long we've been with them, just so you guys get an idea, and we're not going to go into too much detail on how we met, because we do want to make a separate video on that. I feel like that in itself is like a whole juicy, really good story for the both of us.
Yeah, because we both have really crazy stories of like how we met and how like we got together, and like it's just super crazy. Yeah, very much soulmate vibes. Like we knew we were meant to be together. So stay tuned. She's gonna post it soon. I'm gonna post it soon.
Yeah.
And yeah, those are really exciting videos. But this one is gonna be more of like our overcoming and growing out of like the toxic stage in a relationship and just flourishing.
Yes, girl. So I've been with Eli for almost 3 years, 2.5 years. We've been married for a year and a half. Yes, I'm like, how long? Yeah, we've been married for a year and a half and together for almost 3. When we met, babe was actually 32 and I was 22, and now I'm 25 and he's 35. He's pushing 36.
Oh my God, he's almost 40.
He's old as hell. No, but honestly, he's a really like big kid at heart. He's so
he doesn't even act like his age. You wouldn't think under his hat that there was gray hairs and baldness, but there is. But he's just like a really big kid at heart, and like
he's super goofy, super freaking annoying, but his personality is just like really bubbly. If you know Eli, you know, but he's gonna be 36 this year, and yeah, I can't believe we're freaking 10 years apart. It doesn't even feel like it sometimes.
It really doesn't. Like even when you guys first met, it does not feel like that.
I remember when we first met, he was obviously 32, and literally since within like months that we were talking, we already knew that we wanted a daughter together, which was super weird because you knew I didn't want. But you knew I never wanted any more kids after Chubbs and after leaving like the boy's dad. I was like, hell no, I'm done. I'm a boy mom. That's it.
Yeah.
And then right after I met Eli, he was like talking about having a daughter, and I'm not the one who pressed the issue. He's not the one who pressed the issue. It just happened. Yeah. And so we kind of manifested her literally like soon after we met, and he was like, but I'm only gonna have a daughter before I turn 35. He was like, so if it doesn't happen before I turn 35, then it's not meant to be. And I'm like, okay, that's fair, you know. I don't want, yeah, I was like, I don't want kids like old either. So it kind of just all worked out. But yeah, we are 10 years apart, you guys.
And then me and Aunt, we met when
you guys were babies.
Yeah, literally. We got together when he was 17, I was 16, right before I turned 17. So he is 4 months older than me, and we're obviously now both, no, he's 23 and I'm 22. I'll be 23 in 4 days.
By the time you guys watch this video, she'll already be 23.
Say happy birthday. Don't be vain.
So for real, guys, she's gonna be 23 on the 22nd. So I'm gonna see everybody telling her happy birthday, wishing her the best birthday ever, because if anyone deserves it, it's this girl right here.
Aww. But we did meet when we were like 14, so that's a whole other story, like we said. But just to give you guys a little like look on how long we've known each other, we've known each other for almost 10 years now, which is super freaking crazy. And yeah, but it hasn't always been all peaches and cream and all nice and butterflies and rainbows. Like, it took a lot for us to get to this point that we are now. And
you guys were literally babies. You guys grew up together, so obviously like you guys went through like the childish stage, huh?
Super. And it's so crazy, like both of us were so childish back then. And I feel like when you're so small, and he was my first relationship, and he had 2 relationships before that. 2? Yeah. Oh, so back, he was getting around. But he was my first like real boyfriend, one that like I brought around the family, because I obviously talked to guys. I've obviously like
but not
had like immature boyfriends, but nothing real like this. And so when we first got together, what are we talking about? Toxic. I don't know. We were very freaking immature. He obviously had like relationships before me, but they were never like, I'm gonna marry this person. That sounds fucked up.
No.
Okay.
Because I was Eli too. We never thought about marriage until we got together.
Yeah. And so when we got together, we were both super immature, super childish, but we knew we wanted to be together. And obviously like we knew we were meant to be together. I think that's why we tried so hard to get like past all the toxic stage and past all the fights and arguments and everything, because the way that we got together, we just knew that we were soulmates. Like, we freaking knew. So we just like really pushed. I just remember me being super childish and super toxic and immature, and like being very like territorial. And I feel like
controlling.
That, yeah, like that part of me, like I'm so happy that I let go, because I used to remember like I used to be very conniving. Like I used
what does that mean?
That means like evil. But I used to be very like, I want him all to myself, and like I didn't like him to have friend time, and I would lie to myself and be like, yeah, like I let him be free and I let him do this and I let him do that, but in reality I never did. So throughout this time we were just kind of going through the motions, and like it was a really fresh new relationship. So after the honeymoon stage, I think that's when I officially started to be like really toxic, and he was toxic in his own ways too. I feel like it wasn't until he moved in with me in 2019 to where we really started to like learn more about each other and connect on a whole different level. Okay, so in 2019, right after high school, he actually ended up moving in with me because unfortunately his dad did pass. So I feel like at that point he had to like grow up really fast and just like mature quickly, quicker than a normal kid like had to.
Yeah.
But that's also like only 2 years into our relationship, so we were still like going through the motions and still like figuring each other out. And at this point when he moved in, living with someone, it's a whole different ball game. Like, yeah. I was super happy, and I was like, okay, cute, like I'm fresh out of high school, I got my cute little job, he had his job, I was going to college at the time. Things were definitely going good at first. It was kind of like a new honeymoon stage because like we freshly moved in and like everything like that. But we got into like a super bad space to where like we would really like argue and fight, and
a disagreement would turn into something huge.
Yeah, and it would just be carried on and carried on and carried on. And I didn't have really good communication skills from when I was smaller. When we were kids, I felt like we weren't able to really express ourselves in a way, and like we held everything in.
Even when we lived with our dad, dude, this last like time a couple years ago, I remember him telling me like, why do you always run from your problems? Like you never want to deal with, you know, the problems in front of you, just always want to run away. And I was like, well, who the fuck taught me that? You know what I mean?
And that for sure, like in mine and Aunt's relationship caused a lot of arguments, because when I tell you guys, like I was a person that like would carry on a problem for days. I would carry on that problem, and Aunt's the type of person to be like, let's get over it, let's talk about it, let's not go to sleep mad, like get over it and just have a good day. He just doesn't like to argue and be into problems with me, or anybody in that matter. But I feel like I was trying to like learn myself freshly out of high school. I was trying to learn him. Us going through like these waves, it like tested our relationship a lot to like see like, okay, are we good together? Are we gonna be together? Are we gonna grow together? Like what's really up like here? Because I feel like she said, we were just going in waves and like moving at different motions all the time, and we would always bump heads. But no matter how ugly an argument got, no matter how like nasty we were to each other back then, like we just knew. Okay, so we did live with my mom for like 2 years. So we moved in with her. Well, I've always lived with my mom, but us together, we lived with my mom since 2019 to 2021. And then in 2021, I moved in with my dad and then my sister. So once we lived with my sister, I feel like I was at the most like rock bottom, like the most
month you moved in.
Yeah, when I first moved in with my sister, I feel like I was at the most like rock bottom mental state, like mentally, physically, like emotionally. Like I was so insecure. I was like 35 to 40 pounds heavier. Like I was just really like mad within myself and upset within myself and unhappy within myself. So I was like projecting that out to the world, and like my relationship, it really showed.
And I'm sorry, that's why when we tell you guys, like when someone's genuinely unhappy with themselves or somebody's mean or nasty, it's because we've witnessed it, you guys. Like we've gone through these things where I was super mean or toxic, or we even our relationship, me and you, we would argue a lot, and it would be unhealthy to the point where we wouldn't want to see each other, we wouldn't want to talk, and we're grown-ass adults, you know. So when I tell you guys, like unhappy people really do reflect their energy into the world. That's why we say that, because we've gone through it. But now that we've healed and we feel so good about ourselves, and yes, we have hard days or we don't feel 100% at times, we still always come back up, you know what I mean? And at that time we didn't know how to do that. So I feel like my relationship really got like rocky and like really bad. It showed with an aunt too, because he was the same way. Like we talk about it now, and like he was like a lot heavier too. We would like argue all the time, like first moving in with her, and I felt like I was so angry and so mad, and like I said, it was projecting onto my relationship. So like we had some really bad like toxic arguments that even my sister heard, and like she witnessed, and she would see like, not nearly as bad as us, but yes, like, I would hear them arguing sometimes. And at this time, my sister didn't know how to just like walk away from a problem.
When I was younger, I would like to like do that. I would like arguments. I would like to know like I'm being so serious.
We fought so much
when I was little. Like it like made my life exciting.
But you know what's really crazy is some people as adults are like that.
Like that's what I'm trying to say too. Like now that I'm looking at it, like cutting out all of those like toxic like traits and generational curses that we all learned that since we were little, like this is why we are the way that we are, and this is why we like want to speak about it so much, because we don't just talk about shit that we read from a fucking book. Like we really are passionate about all of this stuff, because I'm so sorry. Hi, Ra. Hi,
Ha. Okay, love you. Drive safe. Hey, I think your brother brought like the whole
block
EDC
party.
Crew. I think your brother brought like the whole EDC crew.
But yeah, that's why we just want to put and talk about all this stuff, because it really like we're just really passionate about it. I feel like when you go through something and when you like grow and like it just shows, it just like matters 10 times more to you. But
like, we're not embarrassed to say like what we've gone through because we're not in that place anymore.
Yeah, like I was super toxic, and I feel like, yeah, it was toxic on both ends in my relationship. Me as a person, like I was really bad. Like I would like, it's okay.
But I remember, just because I lived with you, I experienced, and you experienced a lot with me, which, girl, we're gonna get into. But I feel like around this time when you would get mad at Aunt or like something would bother you, it'd be the smallest little thing. Oh, the camera is shut off. I'm really freaking sorry if the angle or anything is weird. But what I was saying is, I remember one time, like, what?
No. I'm just like, I wanted to look, but my hair was like in the way.
Okay, so we're not proud of this, you guys. We're not these people anymore, so it's not embarrassing, or we don't care.
Yeah, I'm not ashamed of like absolutely anything that I was like a nasty person to like anybody in this world, because I'm not like that now. So like, if we're gonna talk about something, or if I'm gonna be open about anything, like I wasn't that person, so like I can freely like accept that now.
So I remember, you guys, I was pregnant, and like I said, we're gonna get into all that craziness right now. And my sister would be mad. She would like talk shit about Aunt, and then I would talk shit about Eli, because I was just always mad at Eli for A, B, all the way through Z. When I was pregnant at this time, my sister would be so mad, talking shit about like Aunt, loud, and she would be like, yeah, he's such a dumbass, and like I'd be like, oh shit, they're gonna fight. But then I'd be like, yeah, and Eli's such a dumbass. But we would like go in on them. Sometimes they would just go in the garage and like just vent and just be there for each other, because we were a lot, you guys. I'm not even gonna like front. I'm not even trying to make us look like we were innocent, because we definitely were a huge problem on like why we had a lot of issues in our relationships. But yeah, I just remember her always like talking shit loudly in the house, or she would be so pissed where like you can see it, you can feel it, and she was just so mean. You were very mean to him.
Yeah, and what's super crazy, guys, is that like I never wanted to be this person, and I never was this person. But like she said earlier, like when you're truly unhappy with yourself, and this is not an excuse to be a shitty person, but when you're truly unhappy, like you don't care about anything. Like you don't care what people think about you. You don't care like you not putting like happiness and good energy and positivity out. Like you want to like be a nasty person. So that's exactly how I was. But just as much as like I would add fuel to the fire, and I was like a really immature, childish girlfriend at the time, he played a big part in like our relationship being rocky and our relationship being very bad, because I felt like he was really immature. Like my sister said, we were growing up with each other, but he didn't know how to be a man. He didn't know how to like comfort a woman or like cater to a woman.
Care
he didn't
about your feelings.
Yeah, like the way that he was before,
he was very immature.
He was very immature. Like he just didn't have any like, I don't want to say any respect, but like we both like met each other at like the toxicity level. Like we were both really horrible to each other, and he was just like learning how to be a man, but doing it in the wrong way. When we were little, he was very in like the state of like every argument we would have, like, no, you're immature, you're this, you're insecure, you're insecure, you're insecure. That whole insecure stuff, like he knew it would hurt me, and he knew that like
cards to play.
Yeah, he knew exactly what to say in an argument to hurt me. And I feel like we were just like at the point in our relationship where like he would say something and I would say something and he would say something and I would say something.
Always one up each other.
And we would always try to one up each other to make the relationship, or to make it more like, no, I have, yes, I'm right and you're wrong. Yeah. Literally
I'm
that.
big and you're little.
Literally Matilda looking. So we would literally have like bad fights, and I don't think at this point me and my sister even cared that like who was listening in the house. Like me and you would like go in on them and like fights. Like we knew when each other was fighting.
And you know what? I don't want to like justify anything, but at this point my husband isn't nearly the person that he is today. Like he didn't help me with anything.
No one in the equation is like equivalent to what they are now. So we were all four completely different people living and like adjusting to like a whole new life.
Yeah,
I feel like all emotions were high on each end, you know what I mean? Like you were pregnant, it was freshly me and Aunt moving into like a new environment. We had just got kicked out of my dad's house, so like it was a really big adjustment for all of us. But we were also really toxic about like half of the stuff, more than half of the stuff that we would go through with them. We didn't communicate or have the relationship that we had now, so I feel like after a few months of like being really toxic and like being on edge to where like Ant was about to like pack his stuff and we were gonna be done, like, and keep in mind in this moment me and him were waiting for a house, so like me and Ant still were living with her on some like we're about to leave type of stuff, right? So when it got like really bad to the point where we were kind of like, we're either gonna do all of this or we're not, I think at that point we kind of realized like,
I feel like it wasn't just you though being unhappy. It had a lot to do with you guys were literally in a box.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like the whole environment and the whole like the life that me and Nat have lived together and all of the stuff that we go through, I feel like when you guys like, when we make our video of how we met in our story, you guys will understand more like why we were the way that we were and everything, because I feel like me and Ant really did jump around from place to place to place to place.
Yeah.
And it's just like a big fat adjustment and being uncomfortable, you know, because none of those places were like our space.
And
like,
you guys were always trapped in four walls, and like obviously now you guys have your home, so if he gets on your nerves he goes in his room and you're like downstairs or vice versa, you know, so you guys definitely have the balance now. But I feel like before you guys would always just go like this. And I also want to mention, you literally worked from home, he worked from home. They were together 24/7, you guys. When I tell you guys, they woke up together, went to sleep together, ate together, pretty much shit together. Like they were together 24/7. They ate breakfast, lunch, and dinner together. They were around each other all day long.
It wasn't until like one day we brought up the idea of Ant moving his
You want to say that?
What? Yeah, I don't give a fuck. That's a key point. Is that embarrassing?
Everybody knows. Like, he was in the garage.
It wasn't until we kind of like came up with the idea, or he wanted like his own space, and we were kind of like
fed up.
Yeah, like I'm telling you, we were bumping heads. So he moved his gaming setup in my sister's like Harry Potter closet, and he was there for like months until like I kind of realized. And at this point, with him being down there, we didn't argue as much. We weren't like growing. Like I was becoming like more happy with myself. I was healing like everything, and he was doing the same. So we kind of had to be apart in a way in the house for us to be able to like reflect and be like, okay, like let me be a better person and let me work on myself so we can be happy in a relationship. And
because Ant literally was gaming 24/7 for one. For two, he was working from home, so he was home 24/7 gaming. So I feel like him being in the room from the time he woke up to the time he went to bed, you literally had your own space. You had time to really think and feel everything in a more healthy way without always trying to like attack him because he's on the game or attack him because he's right there, you know what I mean? So I feel like you being by yourself and him being in his space,
I got the chance to miss him too.
Yeah, he even said like, I was waiting for you to invite me back to the room, because he would sleep in the same bed as her in the room. But I'm telling you guys, he was in the closet downstairs all the time because he was on the game and he would work. So poor thing, he was in the closet.
But he didn't mind. He said that he kind of liked having his own space
away from you.
Because we've always talked about having our own house and him having his own room, but obviously like we couldn't do that at any of the other houses that we lived. So I don't know, guys, after that whole like healing process that me and him did, our relationship flourished. So by the time that like we even got the opportunity, okay, this is super crazy because we actually, every house that we would go through failed, right? Me realizing this right now in this moment, it would fail and it would fail and it would fail, and we were still like rocky. But the moment we signed for our last house and got the opportunity for our last house, our relationship was amazing. And our relationship like was at its like peak of its best. No, that's all the time.
No, now I feel like your guys' relationship is literally goals.
Like now, past all the toxic relationship and like the fights and the arguments, I feel like we just are so much like 10 times happier now, and we just know and we have a certain like level of respect for each other. We respect each other's boundaries. Like it's never something where we call each other out of our name. We just have certain things in our relationship that like we won't tolerate, and I feel like we just want to be happy now, and we want to like love each other on a whole other level. The last year of us living with my sister, I feel like that was a time where we really put all of our effort in our relationship and just like catered to like each other and knew what each other like wanted and respected that. And I feel like now it's just awesome and it's flourishing, and we're like,
yeah, you guys get the chance to like miss each other, you guys respect each other like it's nothing. I see their relationship and it genuinely makes me happy. Like, it makes me so happy, the man that he became, like the woman that you are. You guys are in a state where you guys are very healthy, and it makes me happy because it wasn't always like that. Like, when we lived together, I feel like we were all hitting rock bottom. Like, we all hit rock bottom, girl.
Yeah,
bad.
It was super bad. But I feel like when we did live together, it was kind of like really rocky, and we did experience like a lot, like watching each other fight.
Yeah, it was really bad. But honestly, you guys, the first part of our relationship, literally peaches and cream. Like, we were on cloud 9. Anybody who knew me and Eli, the beginning of us dating, knew like how freaking in love we were. Well, are, but in that moment we're do you know grammar? Because you're talking about past tense, you can say were. Okay. But yeah, I feel like the beginning was so freaking perfect. We were on cloud like a million all the time. We were always like
just, you can see the love from them.
Yeah, and I feel like we were just like obsessed. And we moved in really fast, you guys. It was like 5 or 6 months when we
obsessed. Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna stop laughing.
Yeah, you literally made me stop laughing, so stop. It wasn't until we moved in together, you guys, until we started to really learn each other. I feel like the first couple months of us dating, it was literally perfect. And once
like honeymoon phase.
Yes, and once we moved in together, which was really fast, I don't feel like it was fast in the moment, but now looking back, like, holy shit, you know?
Yeah.
Everything was kind of just working in its own way, you know, and moving pretty fast. And I feel like once we moved in, we really had to like learn each other, you know. And for me, he would like do everything for me. He would go to the store when I needed him to. He would buy me flowers all the time. Like, our relationship was still really, really good when we first moved together. And it wasn't up until I got pregnant. Like, when I got pregnant, sis, that's when like everything changed. And I feel like, oh my god,
it went from like peaches and cream to like crazy. Monsters in fire.
No, literally, guys, it was so crazy because I remember that's actually how I found out I was pregnant, because he was disgusting me. Like, he was literally, you guys,
I remember you told me, you were like, I don't want to be around him, his like, fucking smell, like
he stunk. And he didn't even like it's not even like that I was trying to be like that, you guys, but I didn't understand, for one, what I was feeling. I actually found out I was pregnant because just being around him, like his smell, like him being in the same room as me, I literally just wanted to throw up, and I was just so pissed with his presence. I know it sounds really bad, you guys, but I never experienced this. Like, with the boys, I was so happy and like full of life. I was literally glowing, you guys. Like, I had a really good pregnancy with both boys.
It was like night and day from having the boys and having Leia.
Yeah, so when I got pregnant with the Leia, I was like, what the heck is this? Like, what are these feelings? Why do I feel like this with my husband? Like, I just loved him like last month, and now I just can't stand him, you know? And I remember a few months into the pregnancy, Nico, which is my husband's best friend, he was like, no, like, that's how my wife was, like, it's normal. And I looked into it. Like, I literally was Googling, I did research, and I was like, is this normal to have like I think it's like aversions, it's called aversions during pregnancy towards your husband? Because I know like food aversions is very common, like stuff that you normally like you hate during pregnancy. And that's what it was. Like, with my husband, I had like the biggest pregnancy aversion, I guess you could say. I just didn't want him around. And hearing that it was normal from like his best friend, and his best friend was like, no, just like stick it out, like everything's gonna be okay. He was giving him the pep talk. And when my husband told me that, I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy, you know? Yeah. But also, you guys, like, the way I didn't communicate, the way that I would just always like get upset, and I would be really bad at communicating. Like,
I feel like you would run away from your problems, like, and not want to talk about them at all.
Dude, I feel like the first couple of months, like, my husband started to put the business out there, because it wasn't the one, I wasn't the one going through it, you know? But like, my husband would literally like get on his knees and like beg and cry, because I would tell him like, no, just leave. Like, what? Does that sound bad?
You know, your phone.
So it was really bad, you guys, to the point where I didn't know how to communicate at all. When me and him would fight, I would literally just like tell him to leave, push
run
him away
from your problems.
I would like borderline kick him out, like, and then he would always be like crying, like, babe, no, like, let's work on it, because he's very mature, you know.
Yeah,
he knows like what he wants, and he always fought for a relationship, and I feel like I didn't know that at the time, you know.
But just as much as like it was a new relationship and everything, like I feel like it's important to mention that you did come from a really bad toxic relationship before, so you didn't know how to be in a healthy relationship.
Yes.
So it was really bad for you in a great way.
So not only like my childhood, because our parents were kind of like that too, you know, like we didn't have good communication. We weren't in a free space to just talk about our feelings. And I feel like when I was in a relationship before, even with the boys' dad, like I constantly got cheated on, so I never trusted anything, you know. When my second relationship came, and I'm like, it was such a toxic relationship that I didn't know any better. I was just so used to the chaos and so used to like the unhealthy habits. I was just when I tell you guys, my relationship before my husband was so toxic, it was really bad
in every way. Like, that relationship was like the worst I've ever even heard about, and I didn't even know everything. So
yeah, so I feel like when I got with my husband, when they say, you guys, like the hardest relationship to be in is a healthy one after you've only been in toxic relationships, like I 1,000,000% will say this until like I die. It's 100% true, because I've lived it, you know. I didn't know how to be in a relationship where you had healthy communication, where you had a partner that you could trust, and he would leave his phone around, and like I would still question, like, you know what I mean? I never had that before. So the fact that,
because you were still in that toxic like mentality, because like you weren't yet like fully adjusted to like your new life.
So you guys, like I never trusted my husband. I never communicated. I would have like these own thoughts in my head where I'd be like just mad all the time, and I would just paint a picture. Like if he said something, I would take it the wrong way, or if I thought about a negative thought, or I had a bad dream, like I would literally let those ugly thoughts control my day. And that's how it was so bad when I was pregnant, to the point where I was in bed,
like a dark dungeon.
Not only did I have a really hard pregnancy, you guys, like baby girl made me sick up until the day I gave birth. I was throwing up every freaking week. Like it was just really bad on my health, as well as like in my relationship. So I feel like as much as we wanted it, I wasn't a good wife. I wasn't a good partner to be with, because I was just so angry all the time. I was so unhappy. And I don't want to just say it was like me being a fucking monster, because at the end of the day,
I feel like we're speaking on it more, and it might sound like we're like putting it in that way to where like this is what we did, and we because obviously this is our channel, and like our men aren't here to like defend themselves and be like tell their story. But in reality, like just as much as we were like toxic, they were toxic as well.
I do also want to say how like when we first moved together, I worked full-time. If anything, I worked like a job and a half with how many hours I worked. I took care of the kids, I cooked, I cleaned every single day, and I didn't mind doing it. Like I genuinely was on a high of just being super happy when we first moved in. And when I had gotten pregnant, you guys, it was like a switch in my whole life. I got like prenatal depression. I didn't want to be around my husband, so like the main person that would make me happy and like brought that joy to my life, I just didn't want, you know what I mean? And I know it was like the hormones, but at the end of the day, it was a lot of inner work that I had to do, you know, that I didn't even know about until I got pregnant. You know what I mean?
Because you didn't heal none of the aspects that you had before, like in your childhood trauma, your toxic relationships, like all that was like carried on through your new relationship with Eli.
But you know what's crazy is that I literally, like I was saying, I was doing everything. I worked. I wasn't just sitting on my ass fucking playing with my, like I was
twiddling your thumbs.
Like I was doing so much that when I got to like the lowest point ever and I couldn't get up, I was sick, I didn't want to work, I didn't want to do anything, and I was trying to rely on my husband, I wasn't able to. Like my husband, he wouldn't come through. Like if I needed help with cleaning our shower because my back was hurting when I was pregnant, or if I needed help with doing something around the house, like this man, when I tell you guys, he did not lift a finger in the house. He literally would work and come eat and come home. Like I took care of him 1,000,000%. I still do take care of him now, but I feel like there's a balance and respect now that if I need the dishes done, he will help me no problem and ask me what else I need help with, because he knows that if I'm asking him for help, obviously I'm not 100%, you know. And back then it wasn't like that, you guys. I had to ask this man to do something a million times before I would explode, and I would be so upset. Because when you're pregnant, there's not a lot of things that you can do, at least for my pregnancy. Like I was saying with the boys, I had a really easy and good pregnancy, but with baby girl, you guys, and this like time in our life, oh my god, but this time in our life, you guys, was really hard. And I felt like my husband, he also wasn't a good husband. He wasn't able to do shit, you guys. He didn't know how to freaking wash the dishes. He didn't know how to mop the floor. He didn't know how to make sure the kids like were good.
He went from like being a like single, I think, weekend dad.
He was for the streets, not for the streets, but he was in the streets.
Yeah, so like he didn't know how to be a family man. Just as much as like she adjusted, he had to adjust as well. So it was like a big change for him to like, fuck the dishes, like fuck this, like babe, the house is clean. Because obviously, like in a new couple, new relationship, like she likes it stuff a certain way, he likes stuff a certain way. So if he was just dirty, then like,
no, honestly,
he
like,
just didn't care for like the little things that like we would care about.
Or he would be like, oh, I don't see the house dirty, or I don't notice little things. And in reality, even though he didn't notice things, I was telling him, and I was telling him, and I would be like, babe, I need help with this, and he wouldn't do it. You guys, it got to the point where our relationship went so bad because I was constantly bitching at him. I was constantly upset. Like, we were constantly fighting. And I feel like even after our fights, like, it was to the point where I was like, look, you're either gonna help me and be a husband, because it's not, at the end of the day, it's not just a one-person job. Like, being married, there's two people, especially if you have kids, especially if you have a blended family, there has to be two people putting in the work. And I feel like until I got pregnant, I was the only one doing everything, a lot of the things, you know what I mean? He's always been a really good person, and anyone who knows Eli knows he's very like respectable. Like, he's very calm and loving and patient, and he's a really good man, you guys. But when it came to like the family dynamic and him learning how to be a husband and learning how to be a good dad, he didn't know any of that. And I feel like it took us a really long time of just me being so angry, and it literally got to the point, you guys, where I told him like, shit's gonna change or I'm getting a divorce. And one thing I do want to say, you guys, is me and my husband do not ever joke about the divorce word. We don't throw the divorce word around. Like, me and him, I don't think we've talked about divorce in like a long time, you know? But I feel like it's because we were throwing it around so much that we didn't know the true meaning of like, hey, divorce isn't something you play with, you know? And I feel like around that time, as much as we were throwing it around, it was our reality. You know what I mean? Like, we really were in such a bad place in our marriage that he had to put in the work and I had to put in the work. As much as nobody wanted to do the dishes because I was sick and throwing up, and he, you know, he was fucking lazy. Like, he had to learn to be better. And now I feel like I can finally rely on him. I can finally like lean on him. And
it's because just like what I was saying earlier, it's like really they're like learning the respect and the boundaries of your partner. And like, obviously, like, you get into a relationship, or we got into these relationships to be with them for the rest of our lives, right? But when shit's not working out, it's very much compromising to the point where like you're feeling hurt and you're feeling like you're being taken care of, but vice versa for your partner. So if that's not happening, I think that's what our point was. Like, something needs to change.
Yeah, because I feel like, dude, he made a really good point one time when I was pregnant, and I was so mad that he was right. No, because in that time I'm like, you're so fucking right. And I'm like, I do everything for you, like, I'm a good wife. He's like, yeah, you do everything for me, but you're always mad. And I'm like, holy shit, like, I'm always mad. And I could feel that I'm mad. I could feel that I'm so angry every day. But I'm like, why am I angry? Because you haven't
like cooking.
No, literally, I'm like, you still got breakfast and lunch and dinner and everything, and your house is clean, and your laundry, dishes, everything is done. But at the end of the day, your wife is not happy.
And in reality, like, looking at it now with like an open mind and like everything, like, because it got to that point too, like I was super like angry all the time, but I would do everything for Aunt, not having kids, not having anything. But like, he didn't go without like laundry. Spoiled. He didn't go without like, oh, my deodorant's gone, but magically appears a new one. Like, I have always taken care of him, and my attitude is what really got him, because he was like, yeah, you take care of me 110%, like Eli said, but your attitude is what it is. Like, yes, they're being taken care of, like, well taken care of times a million, but with my attitude and her being angry, who's gonna want to like come home to that at the end of the day type of thing, you know?
I feel like our relationship got really bad, but it was just to the point where I was constantly angry and constantly just bitching about something because my husband, you guys, genuinely didn't know how to wash a dish. He didn't pick up after himself. He didn't do anything, and I felt like it was really affecting me because not only did I feel like shit physically, but I was getting unhappy in our marriage, you know? And I feel like we really had to sit down with each other and be like, okay, look, I'm not a single parent. You're also like, you deserve a good loving wife. Like, what's going to happen, and whatever we decide on, we need to put in the work.
Like, you guys set those boundaries within your relationship.
Yeah, because I genuinely feel like if Eli just was still the same person, didn't help me around the house, was just strictly video games, like, now this man literally will prioritize. Like last night, oh my god, I'm gonna cry. Last night, he literally, like, his brother called him and was like, hey, jump on the game, which 110%, I love him being on the game because he's in our space still and we're good,
but you also get like you time in a way.
Yeah, dude. And he told his brother, he was like, yeah, I'm gonna get on. He's like, I'm gonna help my wife with dinner and hang out with her, and then I'll get on after. Like, those little things like that, it wasn't like that before.
Yeah,
it was literally them just being on the game, and then I would just be looking at him on the game wanting to fucking punch him because he wouldn't help me.
Yes.
And then I'm stressed out and I'm tired and I still have to work. Like, I wasn't just a lazy ass that didn't do anything, you know? Like, and even if you don't work, pregnancy and stuff like that in general,
being a mom
is so
and
hard.
having a household and doing all of that is enough in itself.
Yeah, and so finally, you guys, like, my husband started to come around. He started to help me. Like, it got to the point where we hit rock bottom and we knew we both had to put in the work. I put in the work every single day. When it came to my thoughts, sis, I would look in the mirror sometimes and cry because I'm like, dude, I'm having these negative thoughts. When is it gonna go away? When am I gonna feel better? When is my life gonna feel happy again, you know? So I feel like every single day was a struggle, you guys. Like, I would always fight. Like, it was literally like me versus me every single day.
But that's how it is within a lot of people, and people don't realize that, because when people, like how you said, you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're like, when are these thoughts gonna stop? People project that onto other people instead of realizing it, that it's actually inner work that you have to do, rather than just like be a mad, miserable person.
Yeah, and when I would have those thoughts of being angry, when I would get upset, because for a long time, you guys, my husband, obviously nobody's perfect, but my husband had a lot of work and it was trial and error between the both of us. And when I would tell him, babe, mop, and he would say, yeah, I'm gonna do it, and then he wouldn't do it, the next day as we were trying to work on our relationship, I'd be like, look, babe, I woke up upset because you told me you were gonna mop and you didn't mop. And he's like, babe, I'm so sorry, like, I forgot, or I was tired.
Like, before, you would be like,
what the fuck,
turn that
like,
into anger.
Yeah. So I feel like that process of us learning and growing was really hard, but it took a lot of communication and work on both ends, because even though my husband was tired or forgot or whatever, or went on the game rather than mopping, like, the next day that day he would come home, get it done, and we would be happy. You know what I mean? We weren't so like at each other's throats all the time. And I feel like that's where we had to get, was literally rock bottom for us to meet in the middle. Because at the end of the day, as much as I love him or he loves me, he can't do all the work, and vice versa. Like,
yeah, and I feel like for me, it's not even like, oh, a 50-50 relationship. I feel like that's complete bullshit. I feel like for me, it's like, a relationship sometimes can be 75-25, but that 25 being that person's all. Like, I feel like the whole 50-50 thing is like a whole stigma on relationships, and I feel like that's something that causes a lot of toxic, like, arguments and everything, because it's like, whatever I can do in my relationship, as long as I'm putting my absolute all, whether that be like if I'm having a bad mental health day or like I'm sick or anything, as long as I'm putting my all, that's all that matters to me and like, but yeah, I just feel like it's a whole like compromise and a whole like protecting your boundaries that you have set with your partner, because now I feel like our relationships are like really amazing. We have like amazing men who have like transformed and grew and blossomed and flourished. Like, Ant is not the same person he was before, and he's like a really amazing man. From the little boy that I met, it makes me emotional a lot talking about the way that he's grew in just our relationship and have a healthy relationship.
No, for sure. I always tell my sister, you guys, I tell her, like, we have these conversations all the time, and I feel like for you guys, it's crazy, like, being your older sister and looking in from the outside in, you know? It's just crazy seeing you guys grow, and especially Aunt, like, obviously I'm with you all the time. I see the work that you've put in. It literally glows off of your energy, you know what I mean? But to see the way that Ant treats you, and he literally like worships the ground that you walk on. He takes care of you like no other. He literally goes on like work trips to sacrifice his freaking literally blood, sweat, and tears to provide for you guys, and he takes care of your mental health and all of that stuff, you know. And I feel like it took us so long.
Not me about to cry. Like, it's
no, it literally took us so long to get here, and I feel like Ant has literally turned into such an amazing man that I'm fucking proud of. Like, I'm so proud of him. And you know what, I'm gonna say this too, because obviously we all live together, and as much as like me and you would bounce off of each other's energy, Ant and Eli did too. How many times would like Eli influence Ant to just be a really good fucking partner?
Ant doesn't have somebody that's like a big brother in a way, right? So moving in with my sister, I feel like Ant really seen how Eli would like literally worship the ground that my sister walked on as well, and just a really amazing man. And Ant seeing that, I feel like in a way it did kind of show him the way that he like could be in a relationship, and like the way that like a woman is supposed to be treated, because Ant's always had the utmost respect for women, and that's why I fell in love with him. He's always been a really awesome man, and just because we are opening about like our toxic like relationship like or toxic traits, it doesn't mean that it was always like that, you know. All of these like little moments happened over 6 years of time, so he's always been really amazing. But I feel like Eli did give him a little bit of influence to be like, wow, like he's amazing, you know.
I don't know, I feel like time just had to pass for us to all like be on this wave, and it's just really freaking like exciting to just know that we're in a healthy state of mind now, you know. Like, me being pregnant is like night and day to where I am now.
I'm really grateful for like the way that everything happened though, because I feel like it all happened for a reason, and we were able to like see the good, the bad, the ugly of like our partners, and like experience these little moments. And like now I feel like I know there's like little things that we won't go to that extent, because we don't want to be that way with each other. We just now we literally just want to love each other. But I genuinely feel like that little saying that like once you're past the like toxic stage, and like you get over those little petty arguments and the shit that does not matter, y'all, once you're over that and you really just want to like love your partner and experience life with them, it's the best thing ever. I feel like I'm the happiest I've ever been, he's the happiest he's ever been, and you can literally see it through our relationship. Like, I don't know.
And we're not on here to say that we're all freaking perfect and all this stuff now, because obviously there's some days where I can't stand my husband, and he probably can't stand me, or we'll argue, but it's never to the extent of where it used to be. And I just feel like it's so healthy now, because now when I get upset or something's bothering me, like if I need space, Eli will give me the space.
It's a different understanding.
Like we respect each other's boundaries now, to the point where we know what's too much and what's too little. Like if I ask for space, he won't give me fucking 3 days of space. He'll give me an hour, come back to me, and then we're able to talk, you know what I mean? But I genuinely feel like before we didn't know any of that. Like, I didn't know how to communicate, and now you guys, my husband literally has the most feminine version of me that I've ever even met in my life.
He's transitioned to her to be a whole new different person. Like, when I tell you guys, it's really crazy to know my sister from back then and know her now. Like, she really is a whole different other like 360 person.
Yeah, and it makes me happy to say that, because genuinely, sis, before I'd be like, no, I'm independent, I would be cold, like I don't need no mans and this and that. But now that I have my husband, not just a man, but my husband that I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with, and know that I'm safe, I'm secure, and everything's gonna be okay regardless of what we go through, good and bad, you know, I feel like it makes me happy, because I'm genuinely able to be vulnerable now. Like, I'm able to cry to him, I'm able to tell him how I feel, what's bothering me. And even if it's something so stupid, like, my husband is the #1 person that gives you like the most reassurance, and that's all I need, you know what I mean? It just feels so good, girl.
It really does.
It just feels really good, sis. Like, I'm genuinely so happy. I don't feel like, and what's fucking crazy, you guys, we didn't even mention like the fact that we're able to work on our dreams and do what we do while these men are not only supporting us financially, but physically, you guys, mentally, like emotionally, spiritually. Like, these men take care of our souls like nobody else would.
We've talked about this often, and I think we talked about it in a vlog before, but it's the fact that they're so open to like, no, go follow your dreams. Like, I believe in you that much to like do it. So like all of these, like, we're able to do this, and we're able to upload as much as we can, and we're able to like
put in
all this work because we have such amazing men by our side.
Now we're finally in a position, you guys, where I genuinely feel like we are a fucking power couple. Like, me and you, sis, I genuinely see our relationships like unbreakable, and like nothing can fuck with us, you know what I mean?
No, and I feel like that too. Like, I will openly say nothing can break my relationship, because like I know Ant and he knows me, and we know nothing will fuck our relationship up. Like, for the relationship part, I genuinely feel like it's so rock solid, and it's so weird to like openly say that, because it's that saying like, oh, you never know what happens, or like keep one eye open and all this stuff, but that's so toxic. Like, like once you fucking know you've met your soulmate and you've met this genuine person that you want to spend the rest of your life with, like, you don't even think about that. And that stuff used to cross my mind all the time, you know?
It's honestly, you guys, that comes down to like the generational curses. Like, get all of that toxic shit out of your mind, because I was telling my sister, like, a lot of the reasons why me and my husband would argue, or I would be in this mood, is because I had so many parasites in my head just eating at my fucking thoughts, and just one negative thought after another. Those are parasites in your mind, and if you don't get rid of that, it takes over your life. That's why you live a negative life. That's why you're unhappy. That's why you feed into the bullshit and the drama and literally the negativity, when it doesn't have to be that way.
It doesn't.
It really doesn't. Like, once you unlearn that, you guys, I promise your life will flourish with or without a relationship. Like, learn to do it for yourself, and once you learn to do it within you, everything around you, just, you look at life different.
The last thing about me and Ant, I really want to just say that, fuck, it left my head. So I just want to say that I'm really happy that like I did experience like every part of Ant, and I did experience like being with him however we were before, whether that was like toxic and everything we went through, because now I genuinely feel like I can just like be me and he can be him, and we can just be a really awesome couple together, but also share that light to other people, if that makes sense, and them feel like awesome around me and Ant, because we do have a good relationship.
It's all about energy too. Like, sis, I'm telling you, whether it's with you or like if you're by yourself, or I'm with you and Ant, like I genuinely feel your guys' energy. And it's not just because you guys are together, because it's not like when you're not with him you're sad or you're this and that. Like, I'm telling you, sis, you can feel the energy radiating from you, and then when you guys are together, you guys are a power fucking couple. Like I said, do I have bad days or do I feel sad or whatever? Yeah, we're girls, we have hormones, you know. But overall, as people, I'm genuinely happy, and I feel like that's why we're able to do what we love. We're able to like be as open as we are, and we don't care about what people say about us or tell other people about us, because at the end of the day, we're doing what we love to do, but with amazing men by our side.
And I feel like at that point, like, we've healed so much and we've grown so much, and like whoever does have an opinion, whoever does want to say anything, they don't know us now, you know. And I'm happy to finally say that, like, I'm not ashamed of anything. I'm not ashamed to tell you guys like the toxic people that me and Ant were, because we're not those people now. We have an amazing relationship, and like my sister said, not everything is perfect in any way. I'm not perfect, she's not perfect, our partners are not perfect, but we're the perfect match for each other in like this lifetime and in the next lifetime. And like we said in the beginning of the video, you guys should be really excited for the how we met for her channel, for my channel, because those stories are really crazy, and it just goes to show, when you know, and the universe knows, has a plan for you. Not everything happens for a reason, and nothing is a coincidence. But yeah, I'm just overall really happy, and I'm happy that we get to like share and have a healthy like relationship, and not feel ashamed about it, because I feel like a lot of people do, and they're ashamed of like their past.
I feel like me and my sister always say we're an open book, and that's why we get excited to like do Q&As or talk about certain things, because it's our life, you know. And once you learn to love your life, like you just flourish, girl. Really. But thank you guys so much for watching. We really do appreciate every single one of you, and especially if you stuck around, because this video is long. But let us know if you guys are liking the sister series, or what you guys want to see from us, because we're definitely open to literally anything. Leave us a cute little comment and let us know what you want to see.
And even while you guys are in the comments, let us know if you guys like have had a toxic relationship, if you guys grew out of it, like how that whole thing is, because we look at all the comments, we reply to all the comments, so we just want to interact with you guys as much as we can. And yeah, we hope you guys did enjoy.
Yes, thank you guys so much for watching today's sister series episode, what, 7? 7, girl. We will see you guys next week for episode 8, but we love you guys so freaking much, and we will see you guys on the next episode. Bye.